My name is Alara Whitmore, and I'm 35 years old. Competence doesn't announce itself, it hums. The dishwasher slides into off-peak at 12:01 because past Alara said it that way. The spreadsheet rolls its last cell into green. The apartment holds steady while the world outside leans. I like ballast. No one thanks ballast until the boat lists. At 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday, my phone lit up across the conference table. Graham, my boyfriend, rarely texts during meetings unless it's important. I glance down. Hey babe, took 20 from the joint for a business opportunity with Vanessa. This is going to be huge. Don't be selfish about it. This benefits both of us. Love you. 20, not 200, not 2,000. 20,000, gone with the breezy confidence of someone who doesn't expect consequences. The word selfish pulsed like a siren nobody else could hear. I typed one word back. Okay. Then I closed my laptop, apologized to the room, and walked out into the November light that makes our city look honest. No filter, just edges. The bank was 8 blocks away. The branch manager recognized me from the time we brought in cupcakes after hitting $100,000 on the house fund. Cute, how rituals fossilize into evidence. The remaining balance? I asked. 85,000 even, she said. And the account is joint? It is. I'd like a cashier's check for the balance, please, then close it. She studied my face for the half-second trained professionals use to decide who needs help and who needs a quiet lane. Of course. 45 minutes later, the joint account was a story. The money lived in a new account with my name alone on the door. My hands didn't shake until I stepped back onto the sidewalk. Not from fear, from clarity. People call decisive women cold. I call it room temperature after the fire burns out. That evening, Graham came home with Vanessa Rogers in tow. She had the kind of smile people weaponize when they need strangers to hand them ladders. Babe, Graham said, walking straight to the kitchen island. Did you see my text? I saw it. Vanessa leaned a manicured elbow and surveyed our apartment like a staging consultant. This place has amazing light. You'll love our office even more. We found a spot downtown. Brick, glass, very client-forward. I opened the dishwasher, slid in 2 plates, closed it. Congratulations. Graham's eyebrows twitched. He hears tone the way a dog hears thunder. Alara, we're excited. This is going to be huge, I finished for him. I read that part already. Vanessa's smile thinned. We should probably talk numbers. 20,000 is just the initial. I'm matching it. We've got hardware to buy, subscriptions, a short-term lease to lock. We lined up a few warm leads. Show me, I said. Show you? The business plan, market research, financial projections, letters of intent, client contracts, anything that proves this is more than a mood board. Silence did that thickening thing until it became a third person in the room. Graham cleared his throat. Alara, it's a joint account. It's our money. It was a joint account, I said. And if we're revising language, let's revise all of it. Our implies a conversation. You chose a text. You always talk about believing in me, he said. This is me asking you to believe. No, I said, calm enough to hear the hum of the refrigerator coil. This is you telling me after the fact and calling me selfish before I could answer. Vanessa's smile vanished completely. Look, I know how this can look when you haven't been in the trenches, but I've launched companies. 4, I said, in 5 years, all failed. That was your record last we checked, right? Color touched her cheekbones. Graham shot me a warning look, the kind men give when they're afraid of seeing a part of you they can't manage. Alara, I asked for a plan, I said. If you have one, I'll read it. If you don't, I won't bankroll a fantasy. Vanessa took a step closer, perfume like a floral non-apology. This benefits both of you. Don't be selfish. The words were perfect because they already belonged to the day. I met Graham's eyes. Where did you get that line? Did you two rehearse it? Graham's jaw tapped once, a tell. I told her what I texted. Right, I nodded. So you both knew how this would sound to me. You just decided I should get on board anyway. He spread his hands. It's our future. We're talking about getting a house, building something. This is step 1. The house fund was step 1. We spent 5 years building it, I said. You took 20% with a sentence and a justification. That's not step 1. That's a shortcut through someone else's yard. Vanessa's voice brightened with brittle cheer. Okay, data. We'll send you the deck by tomorrow. Tonight, I said. Her smile returned, thinner. Tonight. They left after more polite combat, the kind that dresses in manners, but travels with knives. The door shut behind them, and the lamp carved its triangle of light across the rug. Graham picked, which really meant I paid, and he approved. The apartment smelled faintly of bergamot, and whatever was left of something roasted and forgiving. I sat at the table and wrote what I knew in a notebook labeled Hard Conversations. He texted after the fact. He used R to justify his choice. He pre-labeled me selfish. He brought his ex to lobby me. He promises a deck tonight. At 10:42 p.m., my phone chimed. A Google Drive link. I clicked. A 6-slide presentation with stock photography, the kind where people laugh at screens. No market sizing, no cash flow forecast, no runway analysis, a logo that looked traced. I called. Graham answered on the first ring. We sent it, he said. You'll see the vision. I see clip art, I said. Jesus, Alara, can you try not being such an auditor for once? This is faith. Faith isn't wiring money to a sinkhole and calling it a wishing well. He went quiet. When he spoke again, the voice was new. I didn't think you'd be like this. Like what? So controlling. I let the words sit between us, cooling. Graham, you took $20,000 from a joint account without a discussion, then told me not to be selfish. I am containing risk. That isn't control, that's competence. He hung up. When my phone rang again, it was Vanessa. I let it go to voicemail. She texted instead. Graham said you closed the account. That's illegal. We can sue. I have a lawyer. I typed back. It was legal. The account was joint. So was the option to withdraw. Good night. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared. Disappeared. The night settled. Morning brought a call from an unknown number and the voice of a man who invoices for oxygen. Gregory Matthews, he said. Counsel for VR Consulting. There's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said. My boyfriend withdrew $20,000 from a joint down payment fund without a plan. I secured the balance to protect it. He had authorization, which means... And so did I. A pause, a paper shuffle. My client has signed contracts based on promised capital. If the funding doesn't materialize, we will file suit against Mr. Miller and, if necessary, seek recovery from assets associated with the promise. Great, I said. Please do. I'd love to explain to a judge how Vanessa induced Graham to misappropriate funds from a housing nest egg to chase a non-existent business. He inhaled. Good day, Ms. Whitmore. Good day. By lunch, Courtney, Graham's sister, was in my messages. You're being petty. Relationships are compromise. I typed, compromise requires conversation. He stole the conversation and the money. At 6 p.m., the door opened again. Graham, alone this time, shoulders squared, like someone about to knock on a stranger's door. Put it back, he said. No. Vanessa is signing the lease tomorrow. We need the deposit. You should have thought about that before the text, I said. He looked at me like people look at water that refuses to part. I love you. I loved us, I said, but us lives where trust does. He stared at the floor, then at me, then at the hall that led to the bedroom he hadn't earned all over again. If you don't support me on this, I don't know what we're even doing. Neither do I said, and felt the keel shift, not sinking, correcting. Outside, the city moved. Inside, the light on the rug held, a triangle that promised edges would stay where they belonged if I did. By morning, my apartment had the polite stillness of a conference room after a bad presentation. Everything in place, the air misfiled. I made coffee and watched the crema swirl like a storm I could chart, but not stop. At 9:06 a.m., Gregory Matthews called again, lawyer voice oiled and practiced. Ms. Whitmore, following up. My client, VR Consulting, LLC, has executed pre-lease terms and vendor contracts predicated on a firm infusion of $40,000. 20 from Mr. Miller and 20 from Ms. Rogers. We regard Mr. Miller's $20,000 as committed. I regard it as misappropriated from a housing fund, I said. If there are contracts, they were signed before capital was secured. That's a business error, not a legal cudgel. We'll pursue damages if funds are not delivered by close of business. You're welcome to, I said. Name the defendant correctly while you're at it. A beat. We would begin with Mr. Miller. Good, I said. He's the one who texted. He exhaled like a man unaccustomed to doors that don't open for his key. Good day. I hung up and forwarded the call log and yesterday's text to a notes folder named House Fund Incident. Documentation is not vindictiveness. It's insurance against revisionist history. At 10:13, my screen lit with a message from Courtney, Graham's older sister, who has always believed grown women require chaperones. You're being punitive. He's trying to build something. Compromise requires conversation, I typed back. He took both the money and the conversation. He told you. That counts. He told me after. 3 dots, then a final verdict. You're going to lose him if you keep this up. If doing the accounting loses him, I wrote, then he was never mine. By noon, Roger and Diane Miller, Graham's parents, were a duet on my ringtone. Diane arrived first, her voice powdered with concern. Sweetheart, just give him what he needs to get started. It's only money. Only money is a sentence used by people whose money isn't gone. Roger got on. We raised a builder, Alara. Builders take risks. On their capital, I said, not ours without consent. Silence. Then Diane again, sharper now. If you don't support him, don't be surprised when he stops confiding in you. He didn't confide, I said. He withdrew. After we hung up, I stared at the small green numbers on my budgeting sheet, the tidy lanes of savings that once looked like a road and now looked like a testimony. I thought of how often love is misnamed faith when it's really blindfolds. At 2:37 p.m., my phone buzzed with a calendar invite from a name I didn't recognize. Brick plus glass, lease signing, and key pickup. The note, deposit due, EOD, LFG. It had been forwarded to me by Vanessa. No message, just the digital equivalent of a dare. I declined the invite and returned a single checkmark emoji. No words. Sometimes restraint cuts cleaner than a paragraph. At 3:05 p.m., a PDF hit my inbox. Demand for performance and payment. With Gregory's letterhead and diction so starchy, I could have ironed shirts on it. He cited detrimental reliance, promissory estoppel, and anticipatory breach, jurisprudence painted like war paint on a face that hadn't done the cardio. He wanted $50,000 in 48 hours, the missing $20K plus a speculative $30K for lost opportunity. I forwarded it to Jade Kim, my friend who wears humor like armor and practices law like chess. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Is this performance art? Jade asked. Apparently it's a letter. They can't get blood from a stone that isn't theirs, she said. He can sue Graham for the 20 if there's a written partnership agreement. There is not. No. As for you, they can posture. That's free. So is my laughter. While we were on the phone, LinkedIn lit up like a flare. Vanessa had posted, when business partners don't follow through on commitments, real founders pivot. Despite my partner's last-minute reversal, after I already committed my $20K, VR consulting will rise. Entrepreneurs keep promises even when others don't. #Founder Life, #resilience. She had tagged Graham, and the post came with carefully cropped screenshots, texts where he promised to bring 20, and a line from him that read, Alara will understand. She blurred my name, but not the part where he wrote joint account. Comments crawled in under the post like tidewater. Where's the contract, though? You signed a lease before funding? Bold strategy. Sounds like both of you are terrible at operations. One person wrote, using someone's down payment as startup cash without partner consent is theft, not entrepreneurship. Graham called, breathing hard. Alara, take it down. I didn't put it up. You know what I mean. This is tanking my reputation. My boss follows Vanessa. You might consider whom you partner with before considering who follows whom, I said. Also, you gave her things to post. It's not like that. It is exactly like that. At 6:40 p.m., Vanessa messaged me directly, a private DM shiny with righteousness. You're sabotaging the business because you're jealous. We finally have momentum, and you're clutching dead money in a savings account. Dead money buys houses, I replied. Live money burns when thrown into fantasies. You'll regret this. Gregory is filing. Then file. See you in discovery. A full minute passed, then, you don't scare me. Good, I wrote. Fear is a bad CFO. That night, Graham came home late with rain on his jacket and the look of a man carrying a story that doesn't want to be told. He hovered in the entryway, shoes still on. HR pulled me in, he said, not meeting my eyes. The LinkedIn thing. The word fraud got used. I'm sorry, I said. And I meant it in the way you mean it when someone is burned by a stove after you move their hand and they grabbed the other burner. He rubbed his face. Just release 10. We cover the deposit, get keys, we're in. Once we sign clients, I'll refill the fund. You're asking me to leverage our future to save you from a present you created. I'm asking you to believe in me for once. I've believed in you exactly as long as you didn't invoice my trust. He stared, eyes shining, the way men's eyes shine when they realize the performance has closed and the audience went home. If you don't help, Vanessa will sue. I'm not one of your vendors, I said. I don't respond to threats. He flinched, then tried a different key, softer. Ilara, I love you. Then love me enough to respect a boundary. He sank onto the edge of the couch, elbows on knees, a posture that begged the room to invent an exit. I'll fix this, he said. And I didn't ask who he meant to fix, me, Vanessa, HR, or the story he told himself about being a man who deserved unearned faith. At 11:02 p.m., Vanessa posted again, this time on Instagram, a carousel of a sunlit office, someone else's sunlit office, with captions about key pickup tomorrow and haters don't stop destiny. The third slide showed a cropped screenshot of my text to Graham. Show me the plan. Show me numbers. She framed it as sabotage. The comments hardened. By morning, the office lease's landlord, a man named Benji Halper, called Vanessa in the comments, asking publicly where the deposit was. She replied with a heart emoji and the words, on the way. 10 minutes later, she DM'd me again. Clock's ticking. Don't ruin him just to hurt me. I did not answer. Some silences deserve their full weight. At 9:20 a.m., a courier arrived at my door with a manila envelope I didn't sign for. Demand letter number 2. This one on heavier paper, as if cardstock could make the claims sturdier. $50,000 within 24 hours, or they would seek injunctive relief. I forwarded it to Jade. She sent back a voice note of extended musical laughter, and then, finally, words. Tell Gregory I said hi and that Rule 11 still exists. At noon, Diane texted, We're coming by this evening to talk sense into you. I typed, Please don't. I will not open the door. She responded with a paragraph about family and loyalty that used the word sacrifice 3 times. I stared at the word until it split down the middle. Sacrifice. Sacred, then fangs. At 2:00 p.m., my phone pinged with a new email. Notice of intent to file was sent to Graham with me CC'd. It read like it wanted to be a lawsuit when it grew up. 10 minutes later, Graham called from outside. I could hear traffic and the hunt in his voice. I'm meeting Vanessa near the landlord's office, he said. If there's any part of you that can... There is, I said. The part that wants you safe and stable. So you'll transfer? No, I said. The part that will be here when you come home, with chamomile tea and a list of recruiters who don't read LinkedIn like a newspaper. He went quiet. You're really doing this. I'm really not doing that. When he hung up, I opened my notebook, wrote today's date, and underlined it. Some days, you lose something you loved and keep something you needed. Some days you learn you can't audit a person into being careful with you. At 4:48 p.m., a fresh post from Vanessa hit. A selfie outside a locked glass door, captioned, When you do everything right and still get blocked, remember, detours aren't dead ends. In the reflection of the glass, you could see Graham, small, off to the side, hands in his pockets like spare change. At 5:12 p.m., my building's intercom rang. I didn't buzz anyone in. The triad of knocks that followed was Diane's pattern. 3 quick, 2 slow. I let the hallway keep her company. By sunset, I could feel the narrative calcifying in everyone else's minds. Ilara the gatekeeper, Graham the visionary, Vanessa the fighter. But I knew the truer geometry. One woman refused to finance an ex-rehearsal of failure with the deposit on a future she built. One man mistook entitlement for courage. One ex painted recklessness as grit. My phone lit one last time that night with a text from Graham. They're going to file tomorrow. I typed, okay, then... Come home. We should talk about us before they talk about you in court. The city exhaled through the windows, a low tide of sound. I set 2 mugs on the counter and waited for keys in the lock I paid for. The key turned just past midnight. Graham stepped in slowly, like someone unsure if they still belonged, to the doorway. His jacket was soaked through, his hair flattened by rain, and his eyes, those eyes, looked both sorry and defensive, a combination that never really says either. I slid a mug toward him. Chamomile, I said. For once, something calm. He sat, palms over the steam. Vanessa filed. I saw the email. She's asking for $45,000 now. The 20 she says I promised, plus damages. And I don't have it. He waited, expecting me to soften where the world had hardened him, but I'd already met the part of myself that didn't translate pain into permission. She served me at work, he said, in front of my team. I nodded. Consequences are punctual. Elara, this could ruin me. You mean this could expose you? He stared, and for a long time, neither of us spoke. The air smelled of wet concrete and that faint bitterness of cooling tea. When he finally spoke, his voice was smaller. I just wanted to build something. You did, I said. You built a warning. He looked up sharply. You sound like you're enjoying this. I'm not. I'm mourning something that didn't have to die. He leaned forward, desperate. Then help me save it. Vanessa will settle if I can get her half, maybe 10, maybe 5. You have 85 sitting there doing nothing. Doing nothing is sometimes how stability works, I said. That fund was supposed to be our foundation, not your parachute. He sighed. You make everything sound like a court transcript. I make everything sound like it counts. He dropped his head into his hands, the sound of a man breaking without permission to break loudly. I might lose my job. I didn't say I told you so. I just said, that's unfortunate. He lifted his head. Unfortunate? That's all you've got? Actions have invoices, Graham. You're just reading yours. He stared at me for a long, tired beat, then stood up and walked down the hall. The bedroom door closed without drama, just a click, small and final. By morning, his half of the closet was empty, the clothes gone, the space immaculate, as though absence could clean better than bleach. On the nightstand, a note. I can't stay with someone who doesn't believe in me. G. I folded it once and tucked it into my notebook under the page labeled Hard Conversations, Addendum. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just made coffee and called Jade. He left, I said. Congratulations, she replied. Less laundry. Vanessa actually filed? Oh, yes. Civil claim. Breach of promise. Reliance damages. Reputational harm. The works. It's the legal equivalent of a tantrum in Times New Roman. And my exposure? 0, she said. You're not a party to the suit. You're just the cautionary tale. I exhaled. And him? He'll have to answer, probably through settlement, since fighting it costs more than caving. I stared at the steam curling from my mug. He doesn't have money to cave. Then he'll find a way to lose less loudly. 2 weeks passed like slow news. I didn't hear from him, but I saw him, online. On Vanessa's Instagram, a smiling photo of them together captioned, Rebuilding after betrayal. Partnerships that survive fire come out forged. # resilience. # new beginnings. He'd gone back to her. Not romantically, maybe not yet, but publicly, definitely. A PR stunt disguised as perseverance. The comments weren't kind. Someone dug up screenshots of the earlier posts, cross-referenced with court filings, and the whole thing became its own thread of ridicule. Rebuilding after betrayal. Translation, still broke. Maybe don't take other people's house funds next time. The internet didn't just forget, it documented. By Friday, Graham's LinkedIn account went private. Then his company page quietly removed his name from their staff list. Administrative leave had become termination. That evening, he called. Elara, he began, voice hoarse. They fired me. I'm sorry, I said. And again, I was. Losing stability is a specific grief, even when it's earned. You could fix this, he said. I could have helped before you made me the villain. It's not about blame anymore. It's about survival. You mean it's about money? He didn't deny it. If I don't pay Vanessa, she'll garnish wages I don't even have. I'm drowning. You stole my lifeboat, I said quietly. He sighed, voice cracking. You're really going to let me crash like this? I'm not letting you crash. I'm letting you steer. You're cruel. I'm consistent. Monday, Vanessa appeared outside my building. She wore sunglasses the size of armor and a blazer that tried too hard to look solvent. I just want to talk, she said when I met her downstairs. You're trespassing, I said. Please, 5 minutes. I folded my arms. 2. She smiled that rehearsed smile. You could end this for everyone. Transfer the money. I withdraw the suit. Graham gets his life back. We move on. No, I said. You'll destroy him just to be right? I won't destroy him. He's doing that himself. You really think you're the good guy here? I don't think in good and bad, I said. I think in ledger entries. You stole from my future, then asked me to help you balance your loss. That's not partnership, that's accounting fraud. Her smile cracked. You'll regret this. I already did. I dated him. She took a step forward, voice lowering. He still loves you. That's not love, I said. That's debt with better branding. Her expression shifted, something almost human, almost hurt. And then she turned, heels clicking away like punctuation. That week, everything went public again. Court filings uploaded, screenshots shared, LinkedIn drama bleeding into Twitter and TikTok. Vanessa's founder journey became a cautionary tale, and Graham's name was caught in its undertow. By Thursday, his father Roger showed up at my office reception. Security called me down. We need to talk woman to man, he said. That's not how that phrase goes. My son is being destroyed. He did that on his own. He took an oath to protect her future, your future, and you're letting it all burn. He took a withdrawal slip, not an oath. Have some compassion. I did, I said, for myself. He shifted, voice trembling with a blend of anger and pleading. Give him the money. He'll pay you back. With what? His unemployment check? I'll cover it, Roger said. Then cover it, I said. You don't need my permission to be reckless. I don't have it liquid, he admitted. Neither did we, I said softly, until he liquidated it without asking. He left muttering words that sounded like curses but landed like echoes. Friday morning, the internet delivered its verdict. A thread on Reddit's small business forum titled, Founder admits to misusing joint funds. Lawsuit collapses. Investors vanish. The post included documents, public record now, showing VR Consulting had defaulted on its lease, that Vanessa's $20K was mostly borrowed, that her clients never existed. Commenters did what they do best, math. The story unraveled itself. By evening, Graham texted, she's dropping the suit. Settling for $5K, I'm selling the BMW. Understood, I replied. Then, you're not even going to ask how I'm doing? I know how you're doing, I wrote. You're learning what accountability costs. No reply came, just the silence of realization finally charging interest. The settlement check cleared by the end of the week. $5,000, paid not from the ruins of a thriving business, but from Graham's BMW, sold at a fraction of its worth because urgency makes everything cheaper. He texted me a photo of the receipt as though proof of payment could rewrite history. It's over. She dropped the suit. Congrats, I typed back. Closure looks good on people. He didn't answer. By Monday, VR Consulting's website went dark. The About Us section was replaced by a 404 page that read, Dreams Under Construction. The irony almost felt intentional. Rumors spread that Vanessa's landlord had filed against her for breaking the lease. She was facing eviction from her apartment, and a string of creditors started leaving comments under her old posts. Please contact accounting. The internet loves a spectacle, but it loves karma even more. I wish I could say I took pleasure in it, but what I felt was quieter, not triumph, just stillness, like a pendulum finally finding its center. 2 weeks later, Roger and Diane reached out again. This time, it was Diane's voice on speaker. Lara, we just want to talk about what comes next. For whom? I asked. For all of you, you and Graham. There is no you and Graham. She sighed, motherly and sharp. You know, he's staying with us for now. He's lost. Then maybe that's where he'll learn to find something. You could help him. You're both good people who made mistakes. I made a boundary, I said. He made a withdrawal. Diane's voice tightened. You always were cold. I always was careful, I corrected. You just preferred it when that looked like forgiveness. The line went quiet, and then Roger cut in, softer than before. He says you kept the money. I kept what was left. The rest was the cost of a lesson. That money was meant for both of you. It was meant for a home, I said. I just adjusted the address. Roger didn't answer. The line clicked off. By then, the divorce papers, or, in our case, dissolution documents, were already drafted. We hadn't married legally, but everything else in our life had behaved like it. Joint leases, joint savings, shared taxes, co-signed bills. Undoing it was paperwork, but the ache was personal. Jade helped me through it. She was practical, methodical, and mercifully unsentimental. He's trying to claim half the $85,000, she said one afternoon, flipping through the forms. Of course he is. Lucky for you, I have a copy of that text where he admitted to taking 20 without permission. Exhibit A. Will that matter? It'll matter enough. When the process finally ended, the judgment was simple. He keeps his personal belongings, debts, and the remainder of his severance. I keep $75,000 plus the piece he couldn't afford. 3 days later, he texted me again. Late night. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life over money. You destroyed your own life over money, I wrote. I just refused to fund the demolition. He replied, you love that account more than me. No, I wrote. I loved that it represented us, until you made it represent you. A pause, then, that's not fair. Neither was the withdrawal. The next morning, his number was blocked. Not out of spite, but out of mercy, for both of us. Weeks passed. The city slid toward winter, and with it came a calm I hadn't felt in years. My evenings stretched into something peaceful, tea, quiet playlists, the faint hum of traffic instead of conflict. Sometimes in that silence, I'd remember how the dishwasher clicked to off-peak at 12:01, how budgets closed in soft green cells, how those little consistencies had been mocked as controlling. Now they just sounded like trust. Mine, rebuilt in my own image. I started looking at houses again. The same realtor from before, sweet, efficient, always smelling like vanilla and mortgage ink, smiled when she saw my name. Elara, back again? Back, I said. Just a smaller place this time. One I can afford. One that's mine. We toured a cottage with sunlit floors and windows that opened without sticking. Modest, grounded. The kind of place where ballast could finally be praised. When I walked through the kitchen, I caught my reflection in the glass. Calm, deliberate. The kind of person who doesn't mistake faith for permission or forgiveness for finance. This feels right, I told her. That night, I signed the offer papers. The down payment, $75,000, transferred with a single, steady click. And as the confirmation screen lit up, I thought about Graham's words, how he'd said I was cold, how Vanessa called me selfish, how even his mother had said I'd regret this. They were wrong. Regret is for people who confuse enabling with empathy. The truth was simpler. Love isn't a joint account. Trust is. And once it's overdrawn, the only thing left to protect is yourself. So I did. The dishwasher hummed at 12:01. The house fund was no longer a dream. It was a deed. And for the first time in years, I fell asleep without checking the balance.